Kudakaramaya Tasmatvam Purvai Purva Dharam Pritam. Translation. All the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. Purported by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. There are two classes of men. Some of them are full of polluted material things within their hearts, and some of them are materially free. Krishna consciousness is equally beneficial for both of these persons. Those who are full of dirty things can take to the line of Krishna consciousness for a gradual cleaning process, following the regulative principles of devotional service. Those who are already cleansed of the impurities may continue to act in the same Krishna consciousness so that others may follow their exemplary activities and thereby be benefited. Foolish persons or neophytes in Krishna consciousness often want to retire from activities without having knowledge of Krishna consciousness. Arjuna's desire to retire from activities on the battlefield was not approved by the Lord. One need only know how to act. To retire from the activities of Krishna consciousness and to sit aloof making a show of Krishna consciousness is less important than actually engaging in the field of activities for the sake of Krishna. Arjuna is here advised to act in Krishna consciousness, following in the footsteps of the Lord's previous disciples, such as the sun god Vivaswami, as mentioned herein before. The Supreme Lord knows all his past activities, as well as those of persons who acted in Krishna consciousness in the past. Therefore, he recommends the acts of the sun god who learned this art from the Lord some millions of years before. All such students of Lord Krishna are mentioned here as past liberated persons engaged in the discharge of duties allotted by Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare.
So this is text 15, chapter 4, text 15. Okay. And the verse says, all the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Okay, so when it says this understanding of my transcendental nature, we have to go back to the previous text 14, which says, there is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruited reactions of work. Okay, so that is why it says, all liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding, that is, engaging in devotional service without any material desire, but only with the desire to please the Lord. Acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. There are two classes of men. Some of them are full of polluted material things within their hearts, and some of them are materially free. Krishna consciousness is equally beneficial for both of these persons. Well, that's good news. Those who are full of dirty things can take to the line of Krishna consciousness for a gradual cleansing process, following the regulative principles of devotional service. Those who are already cleansed of the impurities may continue to act in the same Krishna consciousness so that others may follow their exemplary activities and thereby be benefited. Foolish persons or neophytes in Krishna consciousness often want to retire from activities without having knowledge of Krishna consciousness. Arjuna's desire to retire from activities on the battlefield was not approved by the Lord. One need only know how to act. To retire from the activities of Krishna consciousness and to sit aloof, making a show of Krishna consciousness, is less important than actually engaging in the field of activities for the sake of Krishna. Arjuna is here advised to act in Krishna consciousness, following in the footsteps of the Lord's previous disciples, such as the sun god Vivaswan, as mentioned hereinbefore. The Supreme Lord knows all his past activities, as well as those of persons who acted in Krishna consciousness in the past. Therefore, he recommends the acts of the sun god who learned this art from the Lord so millions of years before. All such students of Lord Krishna are mentioned here as past liberated persons engaged in the discharge of duties allotted by Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So we should, as it says here, those who are cleansed of impurities may continue to act in the same Krishna consciousness so that others may follow their exemplary activities and thereby be benefited. Okay, so that is is explaining what we should do as devotees in good standing. We should give a good example so that others can follow in the exemplary activities of genuine devotees and thereby be benefited. Okay. Text number 16. Kim karma kim akarmati kavayo pi atra mohita tatte karma pravakshyami yajyava mokshayasi suvat. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Now, I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune. Okay, well, who else is a better teacher than Krishna himself? Mm-hmm. So he's going to explain what is action, and knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune. Very, very nice statement there. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Action in Krishna consciousness has to be executed in accord with the examples of previous bona fide devotees. This is recommended in the 15th verse.
Just the previous verse.
Yeah. Why such action should not be independent will be explained in the text to follow. To act in Krishna consciousness, one has to follow the leadership of the authorized persons who are in the line of disciplic succession, as explained in the beginning of this chapter. The system of Krishna consciousness was first narrated to the sun god. The sun god explained it to his son Manu. Manu explained it to his son Ikshvaku. And then and the system is current on this earth from that very moment. Therefore, one has to follow in the footsteps of previous authorities in the line of disciplic succession. Otherwise, even the most intelligent men will be bewildered regarding the standard actions of Krishna consciousness. For this reason, the Lord decided to instruct Arjuna in Krishna consciousness directly. Because of the direct instruction of the Lord to Arjuna, anyone who follows in the footsteps of Arjuna is certainly not bewildered. So that's what we're doing. Because at that point, the principles of Krishna consciousness had been broken. So Krishna chose Arjuna to rehabilitate the principles of Krishna consciousness and begin the new, what you would call, what is it?
Parampara.
Yeah, the new parampara. And then it says, it is said that one cannot ascertain the ways of religion simply by imperfect experimental knowledge. Actually, the principles of religion can only be laid down by the Lord himself. Dharma to Shakshat Bhagavat Bhagavatam 6.3.19. No one can manufacture a religious principle by imperfect speculation. One must follow in the footsteps of great authorities like Brahma, Shiva, Narada, Manu, the Kumaras, Kapila, Prahlada, Bhisma, Sukadeva Goswami, Yamaraja, Janaka, and Bali Maharaj. By mental speculation, one cannot ascertain what is religion or self-realization. Therefore, out of causeless mercy to his devotees, the Lord explains directly to Arjuna what action is and what inaction is. Only action performed in Krishna consciousness can deliver a person from the entanglement of material existence. Well, we're very fortunate because Krishna is going to explain what is the proper way to act in Krishna consciousness. So no one else can teach as perfectly as Krishna. And he also has the saintly persons who are Mahajans, Brahma, Shiva, Narada, Manu, Kumaras, Kapila, Prahlada, Bhisma, Sukadeva Goswami, Yamaraja, Janaka, and Bali Maharaj, who also can perfectly explain and demonstrate by their activities what is pure Krishna consciousness. So that we should not be fooled by nonsense people who are pretending to be spiritual persons. We have parampara, pure devotees, and many of them who were successful in the past and who have left their, let's say, activities for us to read and understand what is actually pure devotional service. So a very nice statement here is Dharma to Shakshat Bhagavat Pranitam. Bhagavatam 6.3.19. No one can manufacture a religious principle by imperfect speculation. Well, today, unfortunately, there are a lot of people that are engaged in imperfect speculation, and they're attempting to manufacture religious principles or some kind of their own, let's say, activities as the paradigm of proper practice of spiritual life. They're all fallen nonsense people, and they should not be followed. That's why it says one must follow in the footsteps of great authorities like Brahma, Shiva, Narada, Manu, the Kumaras, Kapila, Prahlada, Bhisma, Sukadeva Goswami, Yamaraj, and Janaka and Bali Maharaj. So, the lives of these great devotees are explained in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, especially. So we don't have to guess, and we don't have to accept some nonsense person about what Krishna consciousness is. We simply have to follow bona fide devotees who help us understand the bona fide scripture of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. And we have the example of these Mahajans from Brahma all the way to Bali Maharaj. By mental speculation, one cannot ascertain what is religion or self-realization. Well, that's a very good statement. People will think, well, I'm the authority of myself. That doesn't mean they can understand self-realization. We have to be trained. We always have to go outside of ourselves to get the proper training. If we want to figure out everything ourselves, we will fail. And so we have this parampara, beginning from Krishna, coming down to Brahma, and all the way to Bali Maharaj, of elevated, liberated souls. So, and it's continuing. So we have Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Gurukishore Babaji, and also other perfected persons in the disciplic succession coming from Krishna. So we don't have to guess. All the information is in the Bhagavad Gita. So that's why Prabhupada writes, by mental speculation, one cannot ascertain what is religion or self-realization. Therefore, out of causeless mercy to his devotees, the Lord explains directly to Arjuna what action is and what inaction is. Only action performed in Krishna consciousness can deliver a person from the entanglement of material existence. So why does it say here what action is and what inaction is? Well, the Mayavadis, they think that by engaging in inaction, let's say it's a silent meditation, they will not commit any karma. But that is imperfect. It's not perfectly freeing oneself from karma. However, if one engages in pure devotional service, which means there's action, then they can become free from material, from karma, and make substantive spiritual advancement. So that's why it says here, by mental speculation, one cannot ascertain what is religion or self-realization. Okay. Therefore, out of causeless mercy to his devotees, the Lord explains directly to Arjuna what action is and what inaction is. Only action performed in Krishna consciousness can deliver a person from the entanglement of material existence. That is our takeaway today.
Mm-hmm.
Only action performed in Krishna consciousness can deliver a person from the entanglement of material existence. Wonderful statement by Prabhupada, and it makes everything crystal clear. And in order to show the, let's say, validation of this, we have the example of Brahma, Shiva, Narada, Manu, the Kumaras, Kapila, Prahlada, Bhisma, Sukadeva Swami, Yamaraj, Janaka, Bali Maharaj, and we have Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Gorkeshwar Babaji, and we have Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and we have Srila Prabhupada. And that's a lot of real heavy, let's say, validation of how to act properly in Krishna consciousness. Okay, so only action performed in Krishna consciousness can deliver a person from the entanglement of material existence. Gaura Premanandi. Text number 17. Karmanohi api bodhavyam. Bodhavyam cha vikarmana. Akarmanascha bodhavyam. Gahana karmano gati. The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. Now, this is really good because the previous verse said, now I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from misfortune. So, now, becoming more precise, the intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Okay. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. If one is serious about liberation from material bondage, one has to understand the distinctions between action, inaction, and unauthorized actions. Action means action in Krishna consciousness. Inaction means not acting in Krishna consciousness. And unauthorized action is sinful activities. One has to apply oneself to such an analysis of action, reaction, and perverted actions, because it is a very difficult subject matter. To understand Krishna consciousness and action according to its modes, one has to learn one's relationship with the Supreme. That is, one who has learned perfectly knows that every living entity is an eternal servitor of the Lord, and that consequently one has to act in Krishna consciousness. The entire Bhagavad Gita is directed toward this conclusion. Any other conclusions against this consciousness and its attendant actions are vikarma, or prohibited action. To understand all this, one has to associate with authorities in Krishna consciousness and learn the secret from them. I like that, the secret. This is as good as learning from the Lord directly. Otherwise, even the most intelligent persons will be bewildered. Well, we have the example of Hitler and the Nazis. So the Nazis went to India and they purchased very, let's say, high quality shastras, especially about Vimana science. So, because of that, they were able to make fantastic airplanes and rockets. Okay. The Europeans and Americans, they had their rockets were like firecrackers, but the Nazis made real rockets, and they learned it all from the Shastras that they purchased in India. So they were very clever, but not clever enough, because whatever they learned from the Shastras was not enough, because they didn't accept a bona fide spiritual master. So therefore they failed. If they had a bona fide spiritual master, it's not that they would have won the war that they started. It's that they would not have used that knowledge to be, let's say, people who invade other countries. They would have used the knowledge to help people become Krishna conscious. But because they didn't have a bona fide spiritual master, although they did get knowledge about how to make rockets and other things, their whole, and all their endeavors were destroyed. And many people died, like 50 million people died because of the nonsense that they were doing. And it was a real shock for the German people, because 2 times they lost war, and many Germans died, and many Europeans died, and some Americans died also. Mm-hmm. So it was all for the fact that people were following nonsense people like Hitler, and they were misled, and twice they were misled, and 2 times many Germans died unnecessarily, and it was catastrophe. So, in this verse, 4th chapter, verse number 17, it's very important to understand the entire Bhagavad Gita is directed toward this conclusion. All right, what conclusion is he talking about? One who has learned perfectly knows that every living entity is an eternal servitor of the Lord, and that, consequently, one has to act in Krishna consciousness. The entire Bhagavad Gita is directed toward this conclusion. Any other conclusions against this consciousness and its attendant actions are vikarmas, meaning prohibited actions. To understand all this, one has to associate with authorities in Krishna consciousness and learn the secret from them. This is as good as learning from the Lord directly. Otherwise, even the most intelligent persons will be bewildered. Now, learn the secret. What secret are they talking about? Well, how to engage in pure devotional service. And you're not going to learn that on your own. It has to be, you have to be helped by a bona fide spiritual master, and in the association of bona fide devotees. Otherwise, even the most intelligent persons will be bewildered. Well, that's what happened to the Nazis. Mm-hmm. They were smart. They were very intelligent, technologically more advanced than other Europeans and the United States. But they were totally defeated because they were following a nonsense person called Hitler. And it caused a complete havoc. And so many people died unnecessarily because they were following false so-called gurus. Now, Hitler, he was a very, let's say, passionate speaker. Mm-hmm. He knew how to work the crowd. And at that level, what was he saying, though? Most of the time, he was always talking about how the Jews are destroying, the real Teutonic culture, and he was blaming everything on the Jews. Now, there might have been some proof to that, but still, it doesn't mean that you can perform massacre and start wars. So, but Hitler was able to completely, let's say, mislead hundreds, thousands, millions of people. That's how he was a great orator. He could get up there and work the crowd, and they'd be screaming up and down, But what happened? Because he wasn't a devotee, it just led to destruction, terrible destruction, a lot of suffering. So they had some, from 19, let's say 30, 33 to 1940, they were very successful. Hitler was very, very successful, right? But then in another 5 years, the whole thing was destroyed. So it was just a temporary so-called success. Why? Because there was no Krishna consciousness involved. And that just shows that unless we practice Krishna consciousness, we will always be a failure, no matter how successful or clever we might be. The whole endeavor will end up a disaster. And look, that can happen to the United States also. They make rules like, like, for example, making abortion legal.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of karma by doing that. Okay? And they kill every year at least 1 million, fetuses. And very, very sinful. And every year they kill hundreds and thousands of cows and millions of fish and millions of other types of animals. So there's a lot of sin going on around the world, but in the United States also permits abortions, like I said, and they also have kill cows, thousands and thousands of cows every year. So that's a lot of bad karma.
In 2021, Maharaj, 73 million babies were killed globally.
73 million.
Globally. Through abortion.
Terrible. That's why there's war. That's why the weather is not good. That's why there are earthquakes. That's why all these bad things are happening. As long as they keep doing these things, all these bad things are going to happen. Why? Because Mother Earth cannot stand the weight of the sinful activities of these people. So she will hold back the opulences and just not give, but hold back on the opulences. See, previously, when people were very, let's say, spiritual, they didn't have to dig big holes and caves and the ground to get precious metals or get precious things. All these things are being thrown up, by the earth, right? Because Mother Earth or Bhumi Devi was very happy. They were always engaged in spiritual activities, so she would always make these opulences, jewels and pearls and gold, all these things. They would just come out of the earth. Now they have to, bring in all these, bulldozers and all kinds of equipment and dig deep into the earth. And so it's crazy what they have to do. Previously, it would just come up because people were following the rules and regulations of spiritual life. So all their needs were easily attained without, bulldozers and all this big equipment and bombs and things like that. Okay, so the entire Bhagavad Gita is directed toward this conclusion. What is the conclusion? One has to learn one's relationship with the Supreme. That is, one who has learned perfectly knows that every living entity is an eternal servitor of the Lord, and that consequently, one has to act in Krishna consciousness. The entire Bhagavad Gita is directed toward this conclusion. Haribol. Any other conclusion against this conclusion and its attendant actions are vikarmas or prohibited actions. Well, Hitler should have read Bhagavad Gita as it is by his divine grace, Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Then he could have avoided all this slaughter of people and been successful. So maybe he couldn't have, he wasn't able to see Prabhupada, but he could have seen Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But he didn't. And look what happened. The entire Bhagavad Gita is directed toward this conclusion. What is that? One who has learned perfectly knows that every living entity is an eternal servitor of the Lord, and that consequently one has to act in Krishna consciousness. The entire Bhagavad Gita is directed toward this conclusion. And the other conclusions against this consciousness and its attendant actions are vikarmas or prohibited actions. To understand all this, one has to associate with authorities in Krishna consciousness and learn the secret from them. Well, what is the secret? The secret is that if you engage, and first of all, you should have a spiritual master, a bona fide spiritual master. And with the help of the spiritual master, you can give up all sense gratification and engage in the devotional service of the Lord. Then the Lord will protect you, give you real knowledge, and always direct you in the right way so that you will have a successful life. Meaning, you'll be able to remember Krishna at the moment of death and go back to Godhead. So why do we chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra? The minimum 16 rounds every day. It's so that at the moment of death, we can say the name of Krishna and go back to Godhead. Now, we're not going to be able to say the name of Krishna if we never chant Hare Krishna during our life and so-called try to say Hare Krishna at the moment of death. It won't work like that. You have to practice it your whole life so that easily and naturally you will say the name of Krishna at the moment of death. This is why we're chanting every day. Okay, so that is, okay, I think our time is up.
Yes.
So it says, to understand all this, one has to associate with authorities in Krishna consciousness and learn the secret from them. This is as good as learning from the Lord directly. Wow, it's a big statement. Otherwise, even the most intelligent persons will be bewildered. Okay, so what is it that we have to learn? One who has learned perfectly knows that every living entity is an eternal servitor of the Lord, and that consequently one has to act in Krishna consciousness. The entire Bhagavad Gita is directed toward this conclusion. Any other conclusions against this consciousness is an attendant, and its attendant actions are vikarmas, or sinful activities, or prohibited actions. To understand all this, one has to associate with authorities in Krishna consciousness and learn the secret from them. This is as good as learning from the Lord directly. Otherwise, even the most intelligent persons will be bewildered. There's a lot of bewildered people in this world. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Okay, well, that was chapter 4, verse number 17. And tomorrow we'll begin with 18. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any
questions?
questions?
Any questions?
So some people obviously interpret, let's say, Krishna, like obviously devotees accept Krishna as he declares. But other people will take some parts of definition of what Krishna says. I am the taste in water. I am, the syllable Om and so on. And then they interpret that, oh, I'm also serving Krishna. And then, so what happens to them? Are they the full Krishna consciousness?
What happens to anyone who is not trained properly? They make a lot of mistakes in life. So you have to get the full training in Krishna consciousness, right? Under the help of a bona fide spiritual master or spiritual masters. You're not going to figure everything out by yourself. Even if you read all this without the help of bona fide devotee or bona fide spiritual master, you still won't understand.
Yeah, that is so true, Maharaj. Yeah.
We'll start interpreting
whatever imperfections we have in our consciousness. We'll project it on it, and then we'll come to wrong conclusions.
Let's say you only read the verses, you don't read the purports. You won't understand.
No, even when we read the purports, sometimes, unless we have.
Well, you should hear the purports spoken by genuine devotees. Then you ask questions, and you can learn. You won't make any mistakes. Let's put it like that. So there's no excuse. There's many bona fide devotees now, like Prabhupada's mercy, and we have Prabhupada's purports, and you have many opportunities to associate with devotees. So there's no excuse. You can't say, "Oh, I didn't know."
Yeah, I mean, here Prabhupada makes it so strongly clear.
Yeah.
The entire Bhagavad Gita is directed towards this conclusion. The conclusion that every living entity is an eternal servitor of the Lord, and that consequently one has to act in Krishna consciousness.
Exactly right.
Any other conclusions against this conclusion, consciousness, and its attendant actions are vikarmas, are prohibited actions.
Sins.
Yeah. And that's when he also says, to understand all of this, one has to associate with authorities or the bona fide spiritual master in Krishna consciousness and learn the secret. Wow.
This is an open secret. There are some secrets that are not open. This one is an open secret. In other words, although it's a secret, but yet it's being explained openly. Now, there are other secrets that are being kept secret.
Hidden, yes. hidden.
This is a secret that is being opened up to everyone. So, therefore, one has to associate with authorities in Krishna consciousness and learn the secret from them. This is as good as learning from the Lord directly.
Harivilas.
Otherwise, even the most intelligent persons will be bewildered. Like, for example, Elon Musk. He's bewildered. And Mr. Trump, he's bewildered. You can go down the list. They're all bewildered. They're all making mistakes. They think they know what they're doing is right, but it's not right. And it's not really helping the people in general. Haribo.
Any other questions, comments online? Okay,
questions?
no questions.
Okay, well, we will see you all 11 hours from now.
Yes.
11 hours, yeah.
What is it, like 8? So it's actually before that, it's like 10 and a half hours.
Okay, my dear devotees, thank you very much. Please always chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Don't worry about anything as long as you're following all the rules and regulations. Krishna has promised to protect you.
Harivilas.
Haribo. Thank you very much. Chant Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. And be happy.
Yes. And be happy.
Haribo.
Haribo.